I said, do you think that my lack of sleep, alongside other things that we can talk about, sugar and food and stress levels, I asked him, do you think that my lack of sleep contributed to my breast cancer? And he said, I cannot equivocally say yes, but what I will say, Julia, is it's like juggling with knives.
Well, Julia Bradbury, presenter, broadcaster, walker. What else how the strings to your bow can we say about you?
We'll run with that. Mum?
Yeah, mum. Yeah.
Mum, friend to you?
Yeah, exactly. Friend to the stars. So lovely to have you on here, and thank you so much to see you.
Congratulations on the success of the podcast.
Thank you very much. And Walk Yourself Happy. Tell us about it. What started this journey?
Walk Yourself Happy, the idea actually came about during lockdown because I was considering how many people would have mental health issues after this experience, particularly children. A news story sort of got me thinking about children not having access to outdoor space and what that would do to them over a 2-year period. It was a story, I think it was Manchester, and a doctor was talking about how some of these children in a particular area hadn't left the home for 2 years. They didn't go, forget the 1 hour a day or anything else. They just hadn't had any access to outdoor space at all for whatever reason, that would have been. And then the mind started whirring. As you know, I'm hugely passionate about how important nature is in our lives. I was thinking about what will that do? What will the long-term effect be on those children? And then it was the wider topic of nature in our lives, how important it is, and how actually we've all become very disconnected from nature. Modern living does not work in synthesis with having outdoor time, spending time in green spaces, and also understanding why those things are vital to us as humans. So that was the idea. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And the book had been put forward as an idea and had a great response from publishers. And then obviously I was distracted.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit distracted for a while. And when I came back to the book after I'd had my breast cancer diagnosis and my subsequent treatment, and I was sort of coming out the other end, which you stayed in touch with me all the way through, lovely Giles, obviously there was a different focus for me then for the book. And it became not just about mental health and nature, but also about health and our basic understanding of what health is, and my basic understanding of what health is. And I think it was a realization that I had been pushing myself, abusing myself, and not taking care of my health in all of the fundamental ways that I should have known better about, really. And the book, Walk Yourself Happy, is segmented. It's not a book about cancer. It is a book about, and it's not just a book about walking either. For people who've got mobility issues, there is a lot in this book that you can take away. It's not just about that. Walking, I just feel, obviously, I've made walking programs on television for a long, long time, and it's sort of what I'm known for in certain sort of telly bits, telly circles. And I think walking is one of the best ways that we can all access exercise, because it doesn't involve a gym, it doesn't involve embarrassing yourself in other people or doing tricky routines. It is start one step at a time, get outside the front door, begin the process. So that's why I love walking as a method to get yourself onto any form of good exercise regime. But everything else in the book is about things like sleep, nutrition, self-care, stress, trauma, nature, outdoor time, daylight, all elemental parts of what I call our health puzzle, and things that I wasn't sleeping properly. I've had lots of jobs where I've travelled all around the world and, through time zones, and been live one day on a television show and then got on a plane and gone to the other side of the world, filmed for 2 days and then come back. I'm also one of those people, I would describe myself as a night owl. Not just that I would be the last one standing in the bar, but I would also be at home just pottering around till 2 o'clock in the morning, deciding, well, this is a really good time to clear the shoe cupboard, or have a look at the kitchen and go, I'll move the beans and just staying.
That sounds like you, Giles, as
just
well,
staying up.
It does.
And what I didn't really fully appreciate, and I do now, having written the book and having spoken to Professor Russell Foster, who's in the book, how important it is to have a good regular sleep pattern and to get enough sleep across the course of your lifetime. It really is fundamental to every bit of our health, because while we're sleeping, all these incredible biological things are taking place. Our bodies are repairing themselves, our gut lining is repairing itself, our blood is getting thinner because you're not going to be running away from tigers. So your chemistry is changing, your brain is detoxing, your body is detoxing, your cells are reorganizing themselves. All of this stuff happens when you're having good quality sleep. And when you don't have good quality sleep consistently, that's when health problems start to jump into your lives. So, for example, if you have a couple of nights of shaky sleep, your ability to deal with blood sugar spikes the following morning will be decreased. So your insulin response is affected by a bad night of sleep. That's an instant, really quick, here's a medical physical thing that changes when you haven't slept. So that means you could be having your same breakfast and your blood sugar spike will be higher if you've had a couple of nights of bad sleep, because your body just can't cope as well.
Wow, that's incredible and terrifying.
But also really alerting. You know, it sort of makes you see, like, gosh, it's that important. So if it's doing that to your insulin response, to your blood sugar response, what else is happening? Now, there's an awful lot. There's a great guy out there called Professor Matthew Walker, who's written a fantastic book about sleep, which most of us have read, Sleep and Why We Need It. I think that's what it's
got
called.
a very stark first page where you open it and it says, if you do not get 7 hours of sleep, you will be prone to heart disease and strokes. And you're like, oh my God.
And cancer.
Yeah, and cancer.
He's recently been on social media talking about natural killer cells. By the way, natural killer cells are increased when you spend a good amount of time in green spaces, in nature, in trees. When you're in nature, when you're doing forest bathing, walking amongst the trees, your NK cells go up, your natural killer cells. That's connected to your immune system. When you have a couple of nights of bad sleep again, your NK cells go down, which means your immune system is not working as well, which means you are more prone to a host of diseases, including cancer, including type 2 diabetes, including heart failure or cardiovascular issues. So when you start to put those two bits of the puzzle together, you go, right, okay, so increased heart disease, not dealing with responding to food as well. Then what Professor Russell Foster talks about brilliantly in the book is our mental capacity after depleted sleep. You are more prone to risk. You will take more risks. You make worse choices. Your brain is operating at a suboptimal level. And he actually he makes an interesting point. He thinks that in the 80s, when we had the crash, he thinks it's because all of the people who were in charge of our money were known, it was the Wall Street gang, and they were known for being high octane, not sleeping, taking lots of drugs, sleeping with prostitutes, keeping their clients out all night, and then the next morning working with our money and making decisions about the market forces on our behalf in a very, very reduced capacity, because they weren't sleeping properly and they were doing all these other things as well. So he says, no wonder there was a crash, because they were making terrible choices.
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes sense, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting thing as well. And that would play into why you would feel more depressed, your mood would be affected after a bad night's sleep or after a bad week of sleep when you're stressed and you're not sleeping properly. It's the first thing. We all have a negativity bias. So our brain is geared towards the negative, and it's geared towards the negative to protect us. So we've evolved that way. So when we were, lying, sleeping, if something happened, up, it's something bad, quick, let's deal with it. It's our shock response to protect us. Well, your negativity bias gets even worse when you haven't had sleep. What we need to work on with our negativity bias is that's when you talk about affirmations and positive thought and self-care, because you want to not be thinking negatively all the time in the modern world, because it would be very sad and depressing and all the rest of it. So again, get good sleep and work on your positive affirmations and things like that. So it's fascinating how all of these things are linked. And I said to Russell, I said, do you think that my lack of sleep, alongside other things that we can talk about, sugar and food and stress levels, I asked him, do you think that my lack of sleep contributed to my breast cancer? And he said, I cannot equivocally say yes, but what I will say, Julia, is it's like juggling with knives. And the World Health Organization names shift work as a human carcinogen.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Shift workers do have higher rates of chronic illness, including cancers and heart diseases and diabetes, because you are messing with your biology. Ultimately, it's not how we have evolved to survive. And that's the thread that runs throughout the book. How have we evolved to survive, and what are we doing that's pushing against that? And the other thing that's really, really at the core and centre is nature and walking. We are walking bipeds for a reason. We used to just leave our camps and move somewhere else and let that part of the earth regenerate. You know, we've taken our wood, we've done what we've done with that place. We've lived there for a certain amount of time, and then we would get up and we would move on and we would leave that place. Thereby, we were getting to a new environment, and we were letting that previous environment repair itself as well. So the walking bit is a fundamental bit of our biology as well.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you've done your research. You've been on a journey and you've done the research so that we don't have to, which I love you for.
Yes, so there we go. It's all there. That's exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Can I ask you a personal question?
Of course you can.
Before you got diagnosed with breast cancer, did that fear of getting any kind of disease live within you?
No, I think I was like a lot of us. I thought I was invincible. People have always commented about my energy. I've always been lucky in terms of my weight. I'm naturally slim.
Yeah.
So I think there was one period in my 20s where I went on a diet because I got a bit podgy, but other than that, I haven't had to worry about my weight. And I am that annoying person that will sit with you at lunch, and I will just hoover up all the food, and then I would always have the brownie or the custard, and the apple pie and custard, or whatever it was, or the plate of cheese. And people would go, "Where do you put it all?" I go, "I don't know. That's just me." But the downside of that is that this invincibility that I thought I had, I also had a chronically sweet tooth. And when I say chronically sweet tooth, I mean every day. It would always be 11 o'clock, right, let's dunk some biscuits, let's have a chocolate bar. What would that be? After a walk, what have I got in my backpack? I was well known when the people would say, "What's in your backpack?" Chocolate, 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 and chocolate.
Yeah.
It would always be, that would be my snack. It would be, that's what it would be. Or driving, the red wine gums, love the red wine gums. So, I could get through a packet of those on a 2-hour journey, no problem. And then eat late, which is also a bad thing to do. I talked to Professor Tim Spector and the nutritionist Pauline Cox in the book. I learned a lot about food. Don't eat late is the rule. Try and stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed. Goes back to the sleep thing of you repairing and resting and repairing.
Well, and your body's working so hard to digest that stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. You don't want to be doing that. And it interrupts your sleep and your repair.
Yeah, we spoke to Pauline on this pod actually about intermittent fasting and stuff like that. Completely changed my lifestyle after speaking to her. She's absolutely amazing.
Me too. I mean, I would normally, the old me, so I've been living this life for 2.5 years now. The old me would have plonked down after dinner, which would have been a bit late. It probably would have been a plate of carbs, some pasta or something else. And then I would have switched on the box sets and had my popcorn and poured some Maltesers into that and just cracked on.
Sounds delicious.
Delicious. But so much sugar. I mean, I was way above recommended daily allowance. And recommended daily allowance, I would say, is your maximum. That would be the top end. And also, you shouldn't be doing that. We should not. And I hope people don't think I'm being preachy. One should not. It's not an everyday thing, but it's become everyday for all of us because it's there. It's at the supermarket checkout. It's advertised to us all the time. It's hidden in our processed foods. It's in our supermarket bread. It's everywhere, and we are just consuming more refined sugar and hidden sugars than ever before, and a sort of a chronic consumption of sugar. Again, heart disease. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, blood pressure. It makes your blood sticky and it makes the blood harder to move around your body. And you do not want that. You want your blood to be flowing. When you get into things like Qigong or Chinese medicine, it's all about the blood flow. It's all about, because where the blood isn't flowing is where you get these blockages. Fatty liver disease, which is basically when your liver, not through alcohol, but through bad food, processed food, sugar, you can get that through eating too much sugar. There are children now as young as 12 being diagnosed with fatty liver disease.
Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, and the liver is quite a forgiving organ, but then at the same time, like, that's mad. That child is.
But if you think about modern day life, the liver is a forgiving organ, and you'll have some doctors who go, oh, you don't need to detox because that's what your liver is for.
Yeah.
Environmental toxins, so laundry powders, perfumes, what you're sleeping on at night, that in your sheets, all those lovely fragrances. They're not lovely fragrances. You're not sniffing nice flowers. You're sniffing chemicals that are known endocrine disruptors, hormonal disruptors, and you're sleeping on those. You're washing your clothes in those. Spraying perfume. There's a secret ingredient in perfume just called perfume, perfume. Nobody knows what it is. 200 or 300 chemicals it could be in that secret ingredients, trade secret, not allowed to spill the beans on that. Plastic, microplastics, more research this week. 3 major water brands, not yet named, nanoparticles of plastic found in that water.
Oh my God.
I could go on.
Yeah.
It's just modern life is toxic.
Even tap water as
well.
Tap
water has got lots of fluoride in it.
Fluoride, yeah.
Fluoride, great for your teeth, but a neurotoxin, not good for your body, not good for your brain. All sorts of other things in your tap water. Estrogen pill, or, the birth control pill. All of our prescription drugs that we wee into our sewerage system.
Well, I'm saying, let's not even go to where they're dumping in the seas around.
No, and exactly.
Yeah.
So, our livers are working overtime, and we have to be able to help our livers and our bodies. And exercise is a way that we can do it. Walking is a way that we can do it. The odd detox every now and again, the odd, fasting period, water fast, which I'm sure Pauline Cox would have spoken to you about. You don't have to be extreme. Fasting exists and has existed in cultures for thousands of years. We just haven't evolved to have everything all the time and consume it all the time the way that we do now. And I was as guilty as anybody. And I'm not blaming anybody now either, because that's what we're faced with every day.
Yeah, it's life. That's life.
It is. It's like, here are the choices. The choices are in the supermarkets. 65% of supermarkets now are processed, packaged, shelf-stable foods. And, the fringe is your fresh fruit and veg. And most of us gravitate towards the centre aisles.
Well, and there's still, like, I go to my local supermarket, they've still got donuts at the front, or hot cross buns at the front. They're supposed to have eradicated all that stuff, but you still go in, no, of course not. Because they make they make lots of money on those things.
And the great myth of, we bake on the premises. They don't bake on the premises generally. What they do is bring in the dough and heat it up on the premises so it smells good.
Yeah.
But it's, sour faux, as they call it, sourdough, sour faux, and all those other things.
Yeah.
I'm having a go at the supermarket breads, because when you start looking at the ingredients, you think you're having a nice brown wholemeal slice. You're not.
Yeah.
And you start to read what's on the back.
Even when you think you're making the right decisions, you're not.
Well,
most of the time.
And that's because labelling is very, very nebulous, and I think incredibly misleading. I don't do the thing where you walk around supermarkets going, but I did one. And loads of people liked and commented on it a couple of weeks ago. And there was a box of chocolate Wheatos that was a breakfast. It was in the breakfast cereal, and it had on the front, it had a green tick. Why? Green, because people think green means healthy. Green tick, and it said, loved by kids, approved by parents. I'm sorry, what a load of crap. What does that actually mean? Loved by kids, no shit, Sherlock. It's full of sugar and chocolate.
And it's brightly coloured box with fun things on the front.
And then approved by parents. What parents? Because the parents don't know, and then look at the back and go, look at the sugar content, look at that.
Hilarious, isn't it?
And all of that labelling stuff that just makes my blood boil. And we are apparently the EU, and then we might follow suit, but we might not because of Brexit. But there's meant to be a clampdown on that health washing, the green washing. There are also all sorts of claims about this is a carbon-free something, and mostly it's bollocks. It just says and it's the same with the health thing. They say added fibre, good source of protein, and yes, good source of protein, and huge in bad fats, salt, and sugar.
Well, it's the same, I'm not going to name any names, but large manufacturers of chocolate bars, who bring out protein bars, the protein bars, and it's essentially the same as their chocolate bars, but it,
with some nuts,
with some nuts in it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and let's not go about where the nuts are from, and have they got mycotoxins in them, and are they full of mold, and
Yeah, it feels a little bit overwhelming.
Yes,
especially if you're just a normal person who shops at the supermarket and picks up your groceries and goes home and you've got scented candles in your house and all this stuff. It can feel overwhelming to sort of eradicate everything and start anew, unless you have a huge life-changing thing like getting diagnosed with something, or hitting some kind of huge rock bottom where you think, I need to make a huge change. It can be really overwhelming. So
completely, and I would say to anybody, if you're looking to reboot your health for whatever reason, start small and start with the things that you can manage. I mean, cost is a huge issue as well. Eating organic food all the time, the healthier options criminally are more expensive than the cheaper options, but that's because the cheaper options are mass manufactured by about 12 companies in the world. That's it. There are about 12 companies that have a monopoly on all of these packaged foods. Wow. And because of that monopoly, they can produce. They're really screwing the small growers. They're really pushing them, and you hear that all the time now with British farmers in the UK being absolutely squashed on price, and then suddenly going, "No, we don't want your crop anymore." Really unfair. This sort of big market pressure. Yeah. So they're really squeezing the small growers, and then they are able to make a cheap food that they can cut with all sorts of other ingredients: the sugars, the fructose syrups, the corn starches, the emulsifiers, the chemicals that they sit in labs creating to make you like the taste more than anything else, to make your brain reward pathways go, oh, I love that. Must keep coming back for that. Again,
it's a drug.
It's a drug. It's sort of getting into, again, clicking into our evolutionary. When we did forage for food and we foraged and we found fruit, you'd eat as much as you could, because when were you going to get it again? So we're naturally built, we've got this program to eat what we want when we can, except we're not foraging anymore. It's just there all the time. So we just keep going back to it and back to it. Yeah. So I would say to people, start small. There's something called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen list. Yep. So the Clean 15 are those fruits and vegetables that if you can't get the organic option, if the pricing is just too out there, they're the least toxic, if you like. And then the Dirty Dozen are the ones, either don't eat them or really spend your money going organic on those ones if you can, or growing your own if you can.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
And also, I think we're so desperate to have things that are out of season. I mean, I don't know if this makes a difference to we must eat strawberries all year round, and then they're getting imported from all over the place, and you think, well, this isn't quite right, is it?
And there are some sort of extreme biohackers out there. Biohacking is when you hack your own health, who will say that eating out of season is bad for you on a cellular level. Our bodies don't understand eating the wrong food at the wrong time. In Ayurvedic medicine, it's very about eating seasonally and warming foods and the right foods at the right time. That's an important part. And it also, in a funny way, it makes it easier, because you go, right, I can't have those. What will I have instead? What's available to me? Right. I've just filmed a series in Ireland, which is on More 4 now. And I spoke to he's a French chef living in Ireland now. He's married and has settled there. And he was talking about seasonal cooking in Ireland, which is basically seaweed. During winter, seaweed, some other plant varieties that you can't get anywhere else, and they get fish all year round, and cabbages and some potatoes, and just adapting his menu to be seasonal. Yeah, I love that. And that's what he wants to do, and that's what he wants to offer. And I think there is so much to be said for that.
Yeah, I shop. I get all my food from Riverford, who we are desperate to try and sponsor on the show, because every episode I cram them in somehow, because they've just changed my life, honestly. It's like HelloFresh. You can get meal boxes and recipe boxes, but you can also just buy produce like bread and cheeses and milks and stuff, but it's small farm, organic, and it's organic because the potatoes look really weird.
They're not all the same shape.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not all the same size. They're not all sparkling.
And it's all seasonal. It's what is grown. There's a few imported things, but I
used to use Abel and Cole, who are similar to Riverford, and they would supply you with little menus as well, saying, look, if here's some good menu ideas for these off-season veg, because you're like, well, what am I going to do with this?
Right, yeah, exactly. You go, I've got a whole box of chard. Great. Chard for dinner. Yeah. But I think those sorts of options are great for people that don't mind spending a little bit extra, but it's more about what's easy and what's convenient. Because for me, I would rather spend a bit more money and just not have to think about it, because I'm really bad at cooking and I'm kind of lazy in the kitchen. So
I don't think lots of fall into that category. That's fine.
And to be honest with you, I don't spend any more money than if I was going to go to the supermarket and spend £100 on a bunch of stuff that's just going to go off in a few days and I'll have to throw in the bin anyway. Exactly. Or junk food that doesn't really fill me up because it's not really. I mean, Pauline was talking about, when we feel hunger, it's not because we're craving snacks and stuff. We're craving something and our body doesn't know what we need. It just knows that we need something. So we just eat any old shit, and then we're more likely to fill up on crisps and chocolate and still be hungry rather than having.
That's the thing, you're not satiated.
Exactly,
The biggest change I've made in my life is that I now have a savoury breakfast every day, and that savoury breakfast is a different mixture every day, depending on what's in the fridge and what seasonal the rest of it, of steamed veg. So I have steamed vegetables, and then I might throw some olives on there, and I might have a bit of avocado, or if there's a bit of fish left over from yesterday, I'll have that. I will start with that, and then I know whatever the day has in front of me, I've had my veg.
Right.
I've started my day with a savoury, not with a sugar spike. I then after I've had my steamed veg, I have a little chaser. And that's when I have my yogurt. I'll have a probiotic yogurt, sometimes plant-based, sometimes organic dairy, and I'll have nuts and seeds that I toast just in the saucepan. That's the only way I can get my kids to eat nuts and seeds is to toast them. Put a tiny bit of vanilla essence in there, sweetens them a little bit, but not. Nice. It's not too bad. That's a good little tip for kids. Yeah. And have those with berries, in-season berries, and do that. And then my day is that's good. I've sort of had a good brunch lunch, and I'm ready for the rest of the day. And then I eat in the evening, and do the same thing at 2 courses, and then I'm done.
Yeah, and life's busy. People, once you leave the house, like today, I've said to Giles in the car on the way up, I was like, right, I'm having a detox. All I've done, I just got back from Costa Rica, and all I ate was chocolate and sugar, and it's really hard to buy food out there.
It is, but Costa Rica's got so many beautiful...
fresh pineapple every day as well, don't get me wrong, but even that I was just constantly like fruit and chocolate. It's a lot of sugar.
But I hate pineapple.
Said to Giles, I was like, right, that's it, no more sugar, I'm doing a detox. We come here and we go over to the cafe to do a bit of work, and there's let's get a cake. So it's so hard. Once you leave the house, you're a little bit...
It's really hard. I mean, I find myself sometimes like pounding the pavements with my children, and you get yourself in between meals and they're hungry and they want a snack. And I am that mum. I will walk in and out of place and go, no, that's white bready. Think no. And we did it recently. We ended up going to a corner shop, and there was some fruit. There was a banana, and there were some nutty, biscuity, nut-based crackers. And I went, you can have that.
Nice.
But it's hard. But it was 3 shops. Yeah. Three different places to get there.
I'm such a huge advocate. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I am a former primary school teacher, so
that counts.
It counts. I can have an opinion on this, but I'm such a huge advocate of being positive role models and educating the younger generations on this sort of stuff, on nutrition and health and exercise and the importance of nature and all of that stuff, because it feels like, from what I've seen, it's all about convenience. It's all about a quick fix. It's all about what can we just shove in the microwave for dinner, and the examples that we're setting for these children, they're all going to be growing up with like terrible microbiomes and health issues later down the line.
Well, we're seeing it now. I mean, I'd love to say that it's this is a future problem. It's a now problem.
It's terrible.
We in the United Kingdom eat more processed food than any other country in Europe. And we're second to America, I think. And there's something called metabolic health. Metabolic health is a series of biomarkers. It's your bloods. It's to do with cholesterol and the size of your waist, your ratio, and other health indicators. And basically, 90 to 95% of us are metabolically unhealthy. So we've got something like if you have a couple, so if you have high blood pressure and you know, a wider waist ratio than hips, that would put you in the category of being metabolically unhealthy. You might have high cholesterol and one other thing, and that would do it. So if you've got 2 or more of these biomarkers, that puts you in that category. And the Western world is overfed and undernourished, and we fit into that category, unfortunately. And it is very hard. And I would say that one of the ways that you can really try and get hold of your health is to connect with nature, because it's bizarre, but once you do spend more time in nature, again, I'm somebody who walks on telly, and you know, I'm known for doing that, but there were days when I didn't go outside. The promise I made to myself when I came home from my mastectomy was I will be outside every single day of my life from this point forward. Wow. No duvet days, and I sit on my windowsill every morning, I do my breath work, and I walk, if it's in the garden or if it's to the park or if it's around the block, every single day. There isn't now a day when I'm not outside. And I need it for the daylight, because I need the vitamin D. And I need it for my hormone cascade, because when you get daylight into your eyes in the morning, that sets off your biochemistry, which gets your body ready for the day. Again, it's as incredible as what happens, what our body does overnight. When you first get daylight into your eyes in the morning, we have a receptor behind our eyes, and it talks to a part of our brain called the SCN, the suprachiasmatic nuclei, and that then delivers messages to our hormones. It goes, right, the melatonin, we can suppress the melatonin now because we're coming out of our sleep, but let's get ourselves ready for food, let's get ourselves ready for activity. The blood can get thicker again now because we're awake. It's basically telling the body we're going to start moving and doing stuff now, so let's prep ourselves for that. And bizarrely helps you sleep that night, because you're locking into the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is our body clock, except it's not a body clock. We have body clocks. Every cell of our body has a body clock. So your liver has, it's fascinating. So in Chinese medicine, they might say if you wake up in the middle of the night, you wake up in the middle of the night at 3:00, that's your liver. There's a real connection between our body parts and timing, and for a long time it was thought that we were social animals, and the social cues were what we locked into. But now it's pretty confirmed science that we respond to the daylight cycle. So if you're not getting any of the daylight cycle, if you're inside all the time, if you're under these sorts of lights all the time, if you're looking at screens all the time, if you're never going for a walk, if you're not walking at lunchtime, if you're not doing that, you aren't really living a human existence.
No, I mean,
you're living a different existence. But it's not one that your body understands.
It's funny because actually my dog recently went suddenly blind, retinal detachment, so literally within the space of like 24 hours she just suddenly went blind. And the vet said, even though she cannot see, she's walking around in the dark, as soon as she wakes up, take her outside, because the sunlight will still go into her eyes, and it will help her body clock to know what time of the day it is. So if we're doing that for dogs, I mean, blind dogs,
Professor Russell Foster, again in the book Walk Yourself Happy, I remember us talking about this. I don't know if it made it into the book, but his lab are doing incredible work for people with blindness issues, and for people who are short-sighted, long-sighted, and have visual impairment, which is exactly that. It's this receptor which he was instrumental in discovering. Actually, this receptor that we have behind our eyes. Even that even when you close your eyes, you can feel the light coming through your eyelids. So it's the same principle.
Interesting. Sleep is such a fascinating topic to me.
Because you haven't had any.
So I'm one of these people that I've never had issues with sleep, right? I'm one of those really annoying people that falls asleep instantly and sleeps for like 12 hours, and I wake up, I'm like, done. My body knows how to sleep. That's one thing it's good at. However, I am very jet lagged right now.
Okay.
And that's another thing. As I've gotten older, I've noticed that my body does take a lot longer to bounce back, right? And so last night it was probably like 4 p.m. or something my time, and I was in bed, lights off, ready to sleep, and I lay in bed until probably about 4 in the morning, and then woke up at 7:30, and it's funny how I almost feel a bit not quite here, a bit spaced out. I'm like, what is happening?
I've hallucinated when I've been tired before.
Yeah,
I remember sitting on a bus once and thought someone was coming.
Yeah,
thought someone was coming towards me, and I was like, oh,
But that's brief moment of like not being able to sleep. I was lying in bed and I was like, wow. Now I know how people will feel when they have insomnia and stuff like that.
It's horrible.
Oh my heart goes out to people that suffer from insomnia or have sleep issues, because I can't even, it is torture. I can't even imagine. So are there ways that you have discovered on your journey of helping us sleep better?
Yes. So in the book, I think it's 2 or 3 pages of sleep hygiene tips.
Ooh,
which I talked about with Russell, and we've sort of compiled it. And it's basically a list of, this is how you prepare yourself for sleep, and here are some things that you can do. I would say the big takeaway from it that we can talk about here today is, because of our modern lives, because of how we live, because of the screens, because of the constant interruptions, the emails, the pings, never resting. Really, we're on this high alert all the time. It's pretty bonkers to think that you can go home at the end of a day like that, whack in a microwave meal, watch a couple of episodes of Happy Valley or Fool Me Once, which makes you, oh my God, did they do it? And then go to bed and fall asleep.
I can.
Well, you are. Lucky you.
I'm a psychopath.
So what we should all be trying to do, and what I've had to train myself to do, and there are sacrifices involved in good habits. That's the one thing I would say to people, that you do have to sacrifice something to make way for something else. I talk about that with Oliver Burkeman in the book. He wrote the brilliant book 4,000 Weeks. If we're all very, very lucky and we lead happy, healthy lives, we will be alive for 4,000 weeks on planet Earth.
Wow.
Which, when you start to think about it, if you're halfway through your life, as I am now, hopefully, that you only got 2,000 weeks left. So then think about your parents. How old are your parents? How many weeks? How many years have they got left?
How many summers
with you? How many summers?
Yeah.
So when you start to break it down like that, you realise actually it's not so much. And how the discussion we had around time was, if you do want to prioritise sleep, so that becomes very important to you, and you know that your health is suffering as a result of it, what are you going to do to allow yourself the time to sleep? So what I did was go, right, okay, I have to stop with this late night, the night owl stuff, the clearing the cupboards or the going out late and staying out late. That's just got to stop. And I need to get to bed earlier, because what I want to do is I want to go to bed earlier so that I can make sure I get up in time before the kids and everything are awake before the school run, so I can do my morning routine of breath work and get my daylight, which is really important to my health. So moving backwards from that, I then worked out the time. It's like, right, I really need to be in bed by 10 o'clock. And actually, you should be asleep by 10 o'clock, ideally, because the most restorative sleep is between 10 and 3 a.m.
Can I ask as well, if you're getting daylight in your eyes, does it work through a window? You have to be outside.
You have to be outside.
Okay.
There are some people who say that that's rubbish, but modern windows have got lots of
they're layered,
double glazing.
They're double glazing, and they've got anti-shine, and they've got things that are stopping the natural light waves coming through.
Okay, that's good to know.
Natural light is
just
always
open the
better.
window, stick your head out.
Think about how good you feel.
Like a dog.
How good you feel when you're on holiday.
Right.
And you're up early, and you feel so good when you're on holiday, not just because you're away from work, but because you're grounding, you're walking barefoot in the sand or on the grass, and you're getting daylight all day.
Yeah, you're not going to wake up on holiday and be like, should we stay in bed all day?
No.
You go straight out, straight to the pool, straight to the beach.
And so you've got your bare feet, you've got the grounding, so you're swapping electrons with Mother Earth, which is really good for you, helps with inflammation. Again, helps you sleep well on holiday. So work out what it is you are prepared to change and give up in order to make way for this new habit. So I now wind myself down. I very rarely watch TV before bed anymore. If there's something I want to watch, I'll leave it for a moment when I'm traveling, or maybe at the weekend, or I'll watch kids stuff. So I don't sit there and do box sets anymore. And actually, I try not to do anything too visually stimulating before I go to bed. So it could be journaling, it could be writing something soft, nothing that's too taxing. It could be like reading an old novel. It could be And what you're creating is an opportunity to do something else. Don't look at it as losing out on watching the box sets. You'll find the time to watch the new Arnie documentary if that's what you want to do, or whatever, or catch up with Selling Sunset, whatever your poison is. You will find an opportunity to do that, but make this an opportunity to do something else. Something that you wouldn't have done, something more creative, something more restful, something more soulful, something more nourishing. Maybe it's a phone call with somebody that you love, or whatever it is. Make it something that's not making you feel that you're missing out, because you're not. You're just retraining yourself. So in the morning, I listen to podcasts now to help me go to sleep. Not yours, because yours is obviously very stimulating, guys. But I would, in the morning, I don't listen to the news in the morning now, because that's just too disturbing
much
to start my day. So I would feel really tempted doing my breath work to continue listening to the podcast that I was listening to the night before, and I don't. I make sure that time doing my breath work, sitting on my windowsill, listening to the birds with the trees, is quiet time. Because when do we do that? When do any of us now take time to be not talking to somebody, not listening to anything, no pods, just being? How often do you do that?
It's really hard. It's really uncomfortable being with your own thoughts, I will say. I'm guilty of always having music playing and podcasts, and even when I'm painting, it's like music, podcast, TV show, film, whatever. It has to be noise.
Right.
And I live in the middle of nowhere in the woods in a cabin, and you turn everything off. It is silent. It's
try it without.
very silent.
Try a couple of days.
Really hard.
Or try an hour without.
Yeah.
See how it affects your your work as well.
You're the same as well, aren't you? You like to have noise and stuff.
I do, and actually when I'm working as well. However, I would say that just going back to your point of like putting in new things, new habits and stuff, for the last 2 months or so, I go out on a late night walk. So and I go down to the seafront. I always follow the same route,
lovely,
which I quite like.
Yeah.
And I walk for about an hour.
Yeah.
And I when I get to the seafront, I always turn everything off so I can listen to the sea.
Yeah.
And actually just be with myself, like you say, and be with my thoughts.
And wind down.
And that fresh air and wind down. And I sleep much better. So I get home and I can fall asleep. Because I've like you, not a great sleeper. I haven't been ever. But actually now I feel like I've got much better sleeping habits because I do that physical exertion in the evening, but also having that time with just myself and my thoughts.
And sort of make your habits easy as well.
Yeah.
So for me, with the breathing and the breath work, I do it now. I did it this morning. I mean, it's freezing cold. I have an overboard dry robe thing. So, and that is hanging over my bath. So I have my morning pee, and then, the roller blind comes up, and then I lift, the window goes up, and then I put my dry robe on, which is there. I have a little lovely blanket that I sit on, and it's there. And I know that's my cue, that when I'm in the bathroom, I know that the next stop after my wee is to go outside and sit there and do my breath work.
All year round.
All year round.
Let's talk a little bit about your breath work, because you mentioned it a few times. Another subject I'm really fascinated by is breath work, and just the importance of how we breathe and oxygen and how we're normally breathing as well, like throughout our normal day. How does that affect our health?
Hugely. Patrick McKeown has become a friend of mine, and he's in the book, and we're actually just about to start doing some Walk Yourself Happy retreats across the year. Patrick's going to come on them.
We should go.
And Pauline Cox.
Oh, should we do that?
Oh, good. We got to come. Yeah.
There you go.
We can have an unquestionable reunion.
We've
sure they'd love
we've
that.
got a sound therapist called Lisa Pawley who's coming, who does incredible sound immersion, and Hannah Beadle, who does outdoor movement, specialises in outdoor movement. Wow. How do you make the most of your park experience, walking on logs and using trees and benches and moving outside and crawling on falls, which we don't do anymore, and all of that sort of stuff. But what Patrick will tell you is that, first of all, stress and anxiety, hugely impacted by how you breathe. If you breathe deeply and fast and through your mouth, you are likely to be much more stressed as a human being. We all tend to overbreathe. That's just the way that it is. And a lot of us, I don't anymore, but I used to breathe through my mouth. We should all be breathing through our noses.
You're a mouth breather.
Yes.
We overbreathe.
Yes, we overbreathe. So we take between 20 and 25,000 breaths a day. But if you imagine, so if I do this, it's like a panic response. You go, oh my God, what's wrong with Julia? Look, she's looking panicked. that is exactly the opposite. If you're feeling stressed, that's what you don't want to do, is to do that. You get more oxygen into your lungs and into your body when you breathe through your nose than you do if you breathe through your mouth. You also get less bacteria into your lungs as well when you breathe through your nose, because you have these little nice hairy things that filter out the bacteria and the viruses. And you also create something at the back of your nasal cavity here called nitric oxide, NO. And I think it's 2 or 3 men won a Nobel Prize for their discovery about the importance of nitrogen oxide on our bodies and on our cardiovascular health. And essentially, there's this chemistry exchange in our body, which is oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide, and you want the balance to be right. And to get the balance right, you have to breathe with a regularity, and ideally you want to breathe quite gently and softly, and ideally you want to breathe through your nose. So we can do a little thing.
I would love to do that.
Okay, so we'll do 2 things. First of all, you breathe in for 4 and you breathe out for 6. And you do that with your mouth closed. And people can do this at home as well who are listening. You do it with your mouth closed and you do it through your nose. And if you can elongate that outward breath for 6 or 8 or 10, the longer your exhalation, the more calm
that's
you
the
become.
good bit.
That's the good bit, because essentially what you're telling your brain, what you're telling your parasympathetic nervous system is, it's okay, relax, it's calm. So this would be a really good thing to do. We'll only do it 4 times. It would be a really good thing to do before something you're going to do, like public speaking is a really good example. Something that's going to make you nervous. This would be a good thing to calm you down, and then you would jump up and down on the spot for a bit, because you don't want to be low energy.
Right.
So you breathe in for 4 and out for 6.
Okay.
Oh, loud
Good
noise
timing.
there. Just wait for that. Okay, are you ready? So in for 4 through the nose, and breathe down into...
I've got my legs
I feel
crossed.
like I need to
should
undo
sit
my
up.
jeans.
Breathe in, and
Go on, do your jeans up.
what you should be able to see is your fingers come apart. So watch me. So in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. And out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really gently, and then just be, and you should feel a little bit calmer already.
I'll have a little snooze now.
There you go.
I fell asleep.
There's another really quick hack, which is called the physiological sigh, and you do this.
So 2 breaths in.
So a big breath through the nose, and then a little sip through the nose, and then sigh it out. So you're going.
Oh, I love that.
And that really, if you do that for 5 minutes, it's the same as 20 minutes of meditation.
No, really. Because I do that sometimes just around the house. I'll just suddenly go like that. And I noticed like my dad does that. And I always used to be like, that's weird. Now I've started doing it. But it just makes me
do
feel.
it. If you think about babies when they're calming
And
themselves
dogs.
down with crying.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And dogs will often just suddenly go for no reason.
Yeah.
And you think, why are you sighing? You don't have
what's wrong
anything
with
to
you?
worry about.
You've got the best life.
You haven't got any bills to pay. But actually, if you sigh loudly, you feel that release.
Yeah, but take that breath in first.
Yeah.
And try and breathe down. Try not to do that when you breathe up. Try not to go like that. Because what you want to try and do is you're trying to push your diaphragm down. You're trying to get movement in this part of your body. You know, you see the old yogis when they do that. They're moving there. It's all, you want your lungs, your hormones and your muscles start to deplete as you get older. And lungs are one of your signs of longevity, along with how fast you walk. That's another sign of longevity. You want your lungs to be as big as possible for as long as possible throughout your life. And the way to do that is with breathing exercises. So you do have to, like everything else, you've got to exercise these muscles. You've got to exercise this bit of your body. And that's what maintenance as you get older is about. And people go, how do I do all of this? How do I fit it all in?
Yeah.
And you just do. If you're driving somewhere, or you do get up earlier, or you have 15 minutes of your time at night, which is your moment to meditate, do your breath work, do whatever it is, you have to sacrifice something to make way for this other important thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Julia, we've talked about so many things, and we could talk to you forever. Walk Yourself Happy is obviously available everywhere
now, and thank you so much for everybody.
Thank
far.
you.
The book made it onto the bestsellers list.
Amazing,
incredible.
And so it should.
But it's lovely to get messages from people saying they're reading it. It's changed their lives. It's really, really good. So thank you to everybody. And if you haven't bought it yet, then
go and get it now.
Definitely do. Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like we should do a part 2 to this episode.
We can do that. We've got the second half. We can do the whole second half all about nature and walking, and what walking does for us physically, what it actually does for our brains, what it does for our bodies, what it does for our blood.
Maybe we should do it on a walk.
That's a good idea.
Let's
do a walking pod.
We'll talk to Jamie and ask him if he can
I've
follow
got
us.
some gear.
Follow us.
I've got some gear. You help me get
exactly.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you, Julia.
Lovely
Thank
to talk
you.
to
so much.
Thank you.